Okay, listen. Welcome to Living Life with Dr. James today. This is going to be a powerful discussion, and we're grateful to have again Jeff and Tamara and also Vicky here to discuss this. We're talking about reconnecting. Now, all relationships go through situations, circumstances, things happen in relationships. They happen. They don't have to be terminal. The relationship does not have to go into a terminal situation, but things do happen in a particular situation. And so what I want to do is I want to invite a married woman up because I got two single women, and I want to invite a married woman up because I want to really be able to talk about this. And I think this is going to make some sense. Now, we've been talking about being able to reconnect with your mate, whether you're married or whether you're single. Because most relationships, from my observation, especially from my office, they actually operate like a marriage. The people are moving like they're married. And if they live together, it's what's called a common law marriage. And so they're acting like they're married. But then when they move out or they leave or you get a divorce, what's on there is always irreconcilable differences. And we really got to discuss that. Like, what does that really mean when you say irreconcilable differences? Like, what is that? What does that really mean? So let's go on Jeff's end, and then let's go this way, and let's really help people understand irreconcilable differences. Jeff, what does that mean when somebody says that to you?
They cannot get along. They have a different value system, or along the way they found out that there are things that they just can't work with.
They can't work with.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Tamara.
That we just cannot come to agreement. We're not one in our mindset in terms of decisions, life decisions, relationship decisions.
Okay. All right. Shanti.
We cannot get along.
You can't get along. Okay. Vicky.
That we have agreed to disagree on many different facets in life, as well as there might be a break in the foundation.
All right, so you may have been building on a false foundation at the very same time. I think sometimes we're so caught up into the fuzzy feelings and the good feelings of I like you, you like me, we're having a good time, that you don't spend enough time being intentional. Intentional means that I want to understand your belief system. I want to understand your core beliefs about life, how we approach life, how do we problem solve, how do you problem solve. Watching a person and how they solve their own personal problems. How do you solve some of the problems that happen in your life? Watching how people resolve some of the issues that when we're discussing your employment, right? Things about your life, your finances tells me a lot about how you're going to be with me. So that's important. So I think the big issue is, what do you believe? Because the goal of every relationship, no matter what it is to be one. That's the goal. And most people's goal is we're going to build this, we're going to build that, we're going to become that. Yes, sir.
I have a question. Okay, you said that relationships, or some people that are in relationships, they act like they're married already.
Yeah.
Okay, so how can you be in a relationship, be intentional, not act like you're married? I mean, how do you?
So when you're being intentional, you're in a discovery of thought life, of belief systems, because remember, your belief systems actually guide your behavior. So you want to understand from the beginning what they understand about life and how they problem solve. You know, people come in and say, we got communication problems. You have communication problems. Well, if we have the same beliefs about life, and our philosophy of life, if we have an agreement about that, then communication really isn't difficult. Because the goal of the discussion, notice I didn't say conversation, because conversation is an invitation of thoughts and opinions. And some people stay in that cycle of thoughts and opinions. And so it goes from there to anger. But if we're discussing something, we're discussing it with a goal in mind of coming to an agreement because we agree that our approach is going to be the same and our view is going to be the same, which means we're friends. Same view, same approach. We're discovering how to solve the problem. We're discovering which way to go and who we're going to trust in that situation. It's who we're going to trust, right? That's the key. Yeah.
So, shouldn't we be paying attention to those things before we get married? Before we sort of are in a relationship and treating it like a marriage. In the espousal stage or in the courting stage, those are things that we should be sort
Well,
of paying attention to.
I thought I lost my phone. I actually have it right in my hand. So I hope they told my assistant. This is the thing that needs to be understood. You're being intentional doesn't mean I'm going to act like I'm married. Being intentional means I really want to know what you think. I want to know what you think. I want to know your belief systems. I want to understand you. So we're being intentional. We're not just having fun. We're being intentional. Once we get to the point past the interest, I'm interested in you, you're interested in me. All right, that's one level. Then you get to the dating level, collecting data. When you get to the dating level, you're now going to move towards the courting, because now you made up your mind, you got enough data. I really want to single myself out, and you single yourself out. It's just me and you. Okay.
So
Courting
can I ask a
stage.
question
That
about
seems like
that?
a relationship.
But can I ask a question about that?
Yeah.
The courting part, okay, you're collecting data. There are specific things that you do when you're dating. That's different before you progress into courting.
Right.
But if you're not doing those things that you mentioned,
You're not doing your homework. Yeah.
so it's sort of like once you get to the,
False beliefs are built. False beliefs about who we are and how we operate and how we move and how we problem solve. False beliefs grow, right? When people come into my office, the reason why they're in their office is because they got a bunch of faulty beliefs. And so now we got to really think about what is it that you really believe about this, because if you change your belief, you change your behavior. All right, so then you build what Vicky said, with the foundation has a crack in it. No, it was never built. It was built on falsity. It was built on falsity, untruths.
expectations, right?
False expectations, because hurt comes from expectations that's never met. So it's false. It's never been a foundation. Actually, the man is the foundation. That's manhood. Because you could bring money. Most women make more money than men, right? And then some women can beat a man up physically. So in terms of protecting, you do that. So you can't tell me that that's being a man, because women do that. The only thing a woman cannot be is the foundation. Give me an example. Men are the progenitor, meaning everything comes from us. The last name comes from us. Children come from us. Lineage comes from us. Men are the teachers, right? So men are the foundation. When men understand that manhood is being the foundation, a lot of things are going to change, because you can tear the whole building down and build back up on the what? Foundation. If the guy does not have a foundation within himself and he does not become the foundation, you are built on falsities. Or the woman is being the man.
So if you are doing the espousal stage and you're not doing this part of what you're talking about, that's when that happens. Like after you get married. Now,
No, even when you're in a relationship,
right, but
even when you're courting, you can actually become the man. Now that's what happened to Eve and Adam. See, Adam was supposed to be leading. Who ended up leading? Eve. Which means all sides, which means somebody changed the order. When order is changed in something, everything messes up, because you changed the order.
but wasn't Adam right there?
He was right there, but he let her lead. She did it first, and then she said, do you want it? Or she coerced him. What did he say? It wasn't me, it was that woman you gave me.
Yeah.
Which means she led. Right? And then the scripture goes on in the New Testament, says, it wasn't man that was beguiled first, but it was woman. All right, which means she led. So you got a bunch of women who are very outspoken. If you ask some men questions, that woman may answer for the man. Or she may give him a look like, you better not. And then he does that. He's afraid of her response. He's afraid of her response. So he actually becomes the one wearing panties.
That's great.
Yes, sir.
And sometimes women take the lead when it's not moving fast enough in the relationship. When they already know what they want, and he's not moving fast enough.
But
They'll start taking the lead.
but they always say, "I want you to lead."
They'll say that, but they lead.
Okay, well, then you probably need to be quiet so that I can. That's a difficult task for some females.
Or be patient.
Well,
Or be gone.
well, here it is.
She's already gone.
Patience only comes through tribulation.
Yep.
Traffic should teach you to have patience.
Yes, Lord.
Just teach
It
them to
does.
cuss.
No, it shouldn't teach you to cuss, but it should teach you. You do cuss in it. Some of us do, but
I cuss.
it should teach you patience. Tribulation bringeth patience. So it's when you're going through, and here's the problem. When you change the order, you lose. So I think irreconcilable differences means we don't have the same belief. I'm not allowing you to be different. We're operating in indifference as opposed to being different. Now, if you say indifferent, indifference is close to apathy, the feeling of not being interested. If you're indifferent, you don't care either way. A modern tendency towards it is selfishness. Screens and narcissistic social media has exacerbated the unhappiness trigger. So when you talk about that, you're not really looking at the person. You're pretending to be busy. You got another task. You're being indifferent intentionally. So you need to be different because while I am the water, you are the glass. While I'm the pen, you're the ink. And so while I'm the mortar, you're the stone. You need difference, but you don't need to be indifferent. And what people specialize in is being indifferent. Because what we start thinking is we should just have an argument. And an argument is always got to be who gonna win. And so then the goal becomes who wins. It's never share light. It's never, okay, baby, help me understand what you see because I don't see it. We don't say that. Right? We say other things. But we never say, I'm sorry, I don't see it. Help me, paint the picture for me. Help me to understand because I don't. Or, I'm going to trust you to lead. Now, a woman can step forward when a man says, hey, babe, I'm just going to trust you on that one. I'm going to take that wisdom from you. So then a woman becomes wisdom to the man. That's different than assuming authority.
They feel out.
Well, even God told Abraham to listen to Sarah. So there is a time where, yeah, you want to listen to the woman because she has more knowledge than you do in that particular area, right? Not that I'm afraid of making a decision. I'm insecure and I'm unsure of myself, and I lead on mama to now tell me what to do. That's different. Now you got a lot of men who are insecure.
That's true. But what about the thing, most of the time, that you really love about someone?
What do you mean?
The thing that makes you different, like the opposites attract thing. The thing that you really love about someone after being in a relationship with them for a while and maybe even getting married can become the thing that irritates you.
Because the person doesn't know how to use it.
Can you explain that?
Well, you can have, like you could be opinionated. You just don't know when and when not to.
Okay.
You could be knowledgeable on several things, and someone can love your knowledge, but you're too much with it. All right, so you don't know when to use it, when to turn it on, when to turn it off. I found this, the way that I learn is not to know. I don't know. If I walked into the room and I've already had a certification in something or a degree in something or a class in something, I heard the discussion, but I don't know, which means I got to empty so that I can take in what you're saying. You got to empty to fill up, and most people don't. So if I'm sitting with you and I already know, then what are we having a discussion for? because I'm not letting anything penetrate. Not my ear gates, because I already know. So now
that's
I'm
the
playing with you.
communication part, the bad communication part. Willing to speak, but not necessarily willing to.
Well, bad communication comes in because it's competitive.
Mhm.
If we stop being competitive, it could be good communication.
Mhm.
I'm not trying to win. I'm seeking to understand.
Yep.
That's different,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'm talking to you because I want to understand. I'm not talking to you because I want to win. I don't want to show you nothing. Are you willing to know? That's the question. That becomes the question. All right. What do you guys think so far? Jeff?
It's true. A lot in my mind right now.
All right. So what I want to do, the goal and the aim here is to really help people to reconnect, because I think the difficulty is not being able to reconnect. And so from being a life coach to being a mental health therapist to being a relationship coach to being a mediator with child custody to mediation of relationships and anything else, I gotta understand goals. Like, what is the goal? What is the purpose of you coming into the office? And when you walk out, what do you want to walk out with, right? And so what I begin to do is just compile an understanding of notes, because I think that's where we're missing things at. We talk more than we listen. We're talking more than we listen. So what I want our audience to do, as well as what I want you to do, is that in order to really have a great communication with another person, you got to practice listening. You got to practice listening. And a lot of people rather talk than listen. And then some people don't want to listen because they want you to say things that they already know, because they want to always feel like we're on the same level, or we're competing. We're not competing. Somebody's always teaching somebody. Somebody's always enlightening somebody. And that's what the person should love about you. The fact that you are always a student. I saw you look on your phone. So then you're a student. You can already tell me something that I don't know. You're coming from a different angle. That's interesting. That could be sexy. Now, when you drive it down my throat, that's not.
That's a
Right?
remedy for the end of the conversation.
That will make me be turned off. All right, so what I've done is just put some notes together. I want you guys to kind of cue into this, because I'm going to answer a problem of how do you reconnect. We talk about reconnecting and think the fact that they don't reconnect. And this is at the core of the worst situation that could ever happen to a relationship. I don't care how bad it is. Love is supposed to be the restorer and the cover for faults. It's supposed to be able to bring us to the table, right? But it doesn't happen that way. So if your relationship is in trouble, big trouble or small trouble, what I'm going to tell you right now is a straight up fix. I'm going to give you the straight up fix. That's exactly what this is. Now, normally I'm going to do this in my office, but because I love you, I'm going to let it out. I'm going to give you the straight how to fix it. And so I'm not going to try to give you the cute or glib. I'm not going to try to hit you with a lot of clever buzzwords. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to use a lot of terminology. I'm not going to use a bunch of psychable or in vogue theory du jour. And so I'm going to give you what is straightforward, no nonsense answers that work. Answers that have always worked, but have just been buried in a deluge of pop psych nonsense. That's exactly what it is. You're trying to give me pop sense nonsense. You're playing with my mind. You're playing with my psyche. And one of the things we keep telling people is that you're going to stop playing with me. Isn't that what people say in argument? You're going to stop playing with me. You're going to stop taking me for granted. You're going to stop thinking I'm a fool. Right? You say that a lot. Okay, so let's end that. Let's end that. Now, if you guys wanted to end that and stop saying that and get out of that vicious cycle, matter of fact, let me ask you that. How do you think you get out of that vicious cycle? Of stop playing with me, I'm not a fool, don't take me for granted, I'm not stupid. Now you're playing with my mind. How do you get out of that?
You have to reprogram yourself. because you can only control yourself. You can't control the other person.
Reprogram yourself, can't control yourself. Okay, I'm gonna put that there. Anybody else?
I was gonna say, most of the time when I think about having that experience, I'm on the other side, explaining, sharing, expressing, and I might get that kind of response. So that's not something that I would say out of my mouth, because that's probably not how I feel like someone's playing with me.
And so there's a series and outcome determinative precondition that you have to meet if you expect to successfully rescue your relationship and connect with your partner. That's what I'm talking about. I want you to be able to be successful in reconnecting to your partner. So you got to get real about you. That's the first stage. The first stage is get real about you. When I say get real about you, I mean 100% drop dead, no kidding real, no defensiveness. This is going to be important. You cannot deal with a person having a position of defensiveness. If you're going to always have a conversation with me and you are always in the position of defending yourself, we're going to get nowhere. Yes, sir.
I think sometimes for me, in the past, if I was having that kind of situation, if I came forward and really said how I felt about whatever was going on, and I mean just completely honest, completely vulnerable, completely just put it out there, even if it don't make sense to her or whatever, it's just how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've gotten a better response, because even if it's stupid to the rest of y'all, it's still how I feel, and she can get a better understanding of maybe where I'm coming from.
As long as she's not taking the sense of defensiveness or you.
But, well, yeah, I don't get that. So
If you're going to be
once you come for real and honest, you just need to listen to me. But if it's going to be a lot of back and forth, then I don't check out.
But you also cannot. You have to not give yourself excuses.
I'm not.
Right.
I've let it all out. No
Right.
excuses.
Okay. Maybe not you.
Yes.
But a lot of people have some excuses that they give themselves, and they say, "You want to know why?" But you want to know why I do that? You want to know why I act like that? No, there's no excuse. There's no excuse. So when people are in my office and talking, and I say, and I would say, I noticed this, for instance, Tamara, as Jeff is talking, because you're trying to say how you feel. I noticed that you're extremely defensive.
Mm-hmm.
You've been very defensive since we've been sitting here. And then I would go into why you probably have been defensive the entire time. You haven't really been real with yourself. That's the first thing that I'm gonna come to my mind. You aren't ready to deal with yourself. Because if you're constantly defending what's being said, you have not dealt with yourself. So I'm gonna take the light off of him, and now we're gonna deal with the acceptance of you. Because you can't accept him until you accept the truth about you. You're operating in being very defensive. There is no denial. You cannot be in denial. Total honesty. When you get argumentative, when you get rigid, be defensive, hard-hearted, hard-headed, you will lose that relationship for sure. And most people become what? Rigid, defensive, hard-headed, I'm gonna get you back sucker mentality. Right? That's exactly what people end up doing. Now, while the focus of therapy is rescuing your relationship and reconnecting with your partner, the vehicle to achieving that is you. I may be the vehicle, right? I may be I may be the focus of that, but the vehicle rather is you. You gotta remember that. You have to make these decisions. The decision can't be mine. It has to be totally you. So let's go a little further than that. Not you and your partner, but you. Beginning to reconnect with your partner cannot and will not happen if you do not reconnect with yourself first. And I promise you that you can change your partner from daylight to dark. You can dump your partner and trade in for a better one, and it won't make a bit of difference unless you and until you decide to clean house inside you first. A lot of you feel like, if I just get rid of you, I'm good. I'll just get a new one because I'm tired of you. But remember, the same you was going to a new person. Probably worse.
And I think that's why some relationships don't make it, because you'll have your honeymoon phase when everything is right, everything's going good, and then when it's time to actually do the work, or you have your first disagreement, and then there's another disagreement, people can't get through it, and then they separate.
Well, if you're full of triggers because you weren't honest with yourself before you got with a new person, then you're gonna always be triggered. When a person answers their phone too much, you're triggered. When they can't see your phone, you're triggered. When a person is out and you don't know where they are, you're triggered. Somebody's talking to them, you're triggered. They're not saying much to you right now, you're triggered. So the problem is, people come in and they're always triggered because they've never dumped out stuff and dealt with themselves. So you stay constantly triggered. I notice that you have a lot of triggers. Yes, sir.
Can you actually dump out stuff?
Yeah.
You can really dump it out.
You can really dump it out. You can really be honest with yourself about what self is dealing with. And remember, you're the master of your mind. Your brain and your mind are two different things. Your brain is always trying to recall things, but your mind is in charge.
Can I ask, have y'all been able to dump stuff all the way? For real, dump it, and not let it be a trigger later on? Because you're going to remember it, and it could become a trigger. Because you don't want it to happen again. So that means it's a trigger, right?
Yeah, but some people have dumped things like this. They dumped it this way. I don't care. I don't want it anyway. Doesn't matter to me. And their emphasis on getting something new. That's not dumping. That's not dumping. You are full of triggers.
I think we all might be full of triggers.
That's not dumping. You gotta honestly be honest with yourself about yourself. The first step is you. Now, this journey does not begin with you and your partner. It begins with you. You have to take your power back and become the kind of person who commands quality, inspires respect, and settles for nothing less than an active, abiding love. And that change begins from the inside out as you get back in touch with who you are, and as you decide what to do with your love, with your life, and with your vision. So your clarity and your purpose must become crystal clear. The fix, the rescue depends on you. To proceed with any other mindset is to guarantee failure, miserable failure. And that's why I started doing this and talking to people, because I want people to get it right from the beginning. And so I know that you aren't being true and right with yourself, or you wouldn't be in a relationship trouble, and you wouldn't be holding conversations consistently about that trouble. And every time you get into a conversation, where does it lead back to? What had happened? And I did say it that way.
What has happened was.
You know how I got here. So if the road leads back to, you know how I got here, did you clean it out? No. So your relationship stays in trouble.
Because you keep recycling, right?
You do, because that becomes your view.
I'm still stuck on, do people really clean it out?
They may not, but it's not that they cannot. So let's say it differently. They may not, and some people don't know that they can. And then being taught how.
Yeah, we might need to have a show on that.
And so in fact, if you're in a relationship that has gone awry, a relationship that is laced with pain, confusion, or emptiness by definition, I know that you lost touch with your own personal power, your own dignity, your own standards, your own self-esteem. Because if your relationship is in trouble, you lost power in it. And what irritates you is you have no power. Because you know what you say? Nothing that I say will make a difference. What does that mean? You lost power. Do you believe that or not?
Yes.
Can you just define a little more what power in a relationship means when you say you lost power?
You feel like you lost your self-esteem, your standards, your dignity.
You become indifferent.
You become indifferent. You don't care.
You don't care anymore.
People will sit in my office and really come in my office. I already know you're indifferent. You don't care.
By their expression.
No, just by what's coming out of your mouth
Oh.
and your body language. Because I'm going to read through what you said. I heard what you said. I also heard what you didn't say. So then I'm going to give you what you didn't say. Right? You're indifferent. You really don't care. And you have a feeling of emptiness, feeling of confusion. Your relationship is laced with pain. And most people, that's their relationship. It's painful. Why do you want to get out of something? Because it's what?
Painful.
Painful. It's empty. Is that not true? But should it stay that way?
Won't for long.
Now, you allowed yourself to accommodate pain and disappointment and self-destructive attitudes. And so you've rationalized away many of the hopes and dreams that you settled for, so many things that you did not want. That's the anger. I felt like I settled for things that I didn't want. I'm in this mess.
It sounds like there needs to be some counseling sessions before you even enter into relationship, into a spousalship, into marriage.
Well, you should, but the problem is you can't go in there lying. You can't say, I agree, you don't agree. Right? So you allowed apathy to set in, along with the way that you've probably let your partner mistreat you over the years. This didn't happen yesterday. It's been some time that you've been mistreated. And so it's chiseled away at your dignity. Now you have no dignity, no power, because you keep letting things go. True or false?
True. And then when you rise up to fight back, it becomes more of an issue.
Yes, because of the way it comes out.
Yeah.
It comes out with pressure, right? But most important, you've mistreated yourself. You've blamed your partner or other circumstances for your place in life rather than making an effort to find the true answers within you. You know we do the blame game, right? It's because of what he did. It's because of what she did. So you lost touch with the part of you that I call your core of consciousness. Your core of consciousness. That place where you've absolutely defined the place within you where your greatest strengths, instincts, values, talents, and wisdoms are centered. Your core consciousness. Your talents are centered there. Your values are centered there. You've lost it. Now you feel like you've lost yourself. You know what you're really fighting for? To get yourself back. Because you lost.
So, Dr. James, when you talk about core, the core of how you defined it may be manifested later on in life, but isn't the core based on, just as a child, where your core beliefs are wrapped around
Values that you were taught.
Yes.
Yeah, so it is your values, it's your greatest strengths, it's your instincts, it's all those things. But you lost it, you gave it up.
You gave it up, or it was developed even from the beginning before you got
Well, it could have been underdeveloped,
Okay,
or it could be, again, false beliefs could set in from the beginning.
right.
However, relationships are mirrors, and relationships can also be teachers. We're not always willing to be taught, though, are we? No, because you already come into a relationship. I'm a woman, hear me roar. Well, if you come in and you know you the baddest thing, and they ought to be grateful, and you come into a relationship and you feel like he ought to be grateful that somebody like me wanted him. If you come into a relationship like, I know I got it, and you the sexiest thing, and you gonna throw it on him.
Okay.
When I throw this on him, he gonna change. Throw what? Throw what? Throw what?
Let the choir say amen.
See, grown men like me would tell you, take that back. Take that back, little girl. I would call you a little girl. Because obviously you think I'm a little boy. And what you going to throw on me is going to make me change. That ain't going to make me change. That's going to make me hungry for somebody else. Because after I have that, I won't be full. because you empty. Now that's a grown man.
You raising him?
No.
But I know that you said after you have that. Did you say after you have that?
Yeah, most men don't turn it down,
Oh,
man.
okay. I just wanted to make sure.
You never sat down and ate a meal somewhere and then went somewhere and ate another meal?
Yeah.
Okay, it's easy for us to do it.
Okay.
All right, it's easy for. But in her mind, she took all the hunger from you. It's like she act like she Jesus. Drinking this water, you'll thirst no more. I'm still thirsty. I got up. I'm still thirsty because there wasn't nothing in that well.
That sounds like a t-shirt.
I'm still thirsty.
Can you say it again?
No, you got men do the same thing.
They do the same thing.
Men do the same thing out of ignorance. You really think that you threw something on her, and all of a sudden, what you threw on her put her in prison.
Yeah, when she pretend like it was real.
For a moment, you could have gone in that prison. Or you could have fell asleep, but there's always an awakening, and there's always a releasement. What's going to happen when I'm paroled?
No, that's right.
What's going to happen when I wake up one morning and realize you ain't what you pretended to be? Now, we got to be honest. Y'all never been in the middle of whether it was a sex session or a conversation, and you said, this ain't nothing.
Hallelujah.
Yes.
I don't even know why I did this. In the middle of it.
In the middle.
In the middle of
But
it.
you know the problem is? Y'all go through with it. Me, I'm gonna get up, put my pants on, and be like, this ain't it. Can we get up? Can we get up?
Gotta stop.
Yeah, you gotta stop.
Stop.
You gotta stop. This right here is a waste of my time. Well, so I'm gonna go through the whole session with
No
you?
way, no way. What is
Pretending?
that? No.
It might not last that long anyway, so.
I have to question myself,
Go ahead.
especially if it keeps happening. It's definitely not them, it's me.
Yeah.
Why am I still carrying an aroma to even draw those kind of
Because you lost yourself and you're trying to find it in that. You think that that is going to help you get it back.
Because that's the way you was taught.
Oh, exactly.
So that is the way you're taught. Your girlfriend said it, your cousin said it, the people say it to you all the time, but remember, it's your intentions. It's the intent. What did you intend to do when you came in here? Blow my mind or reconnect?
Okay, so it may be the intentions or the motive of your heart.
Yeah, what's the motive? What
Yeah, your
you over
motive.
here for?
Right.
So before you knock on the door with your trench coat on, I'm gonna ask you questions in the hallway. Before you come in, what's this for?
Absolutely.
No,
Okay.
make you wait. And then if I let you in, I'm gonna make you wait again. No, when you come over, kiss me. No. Have a seat. Have a seat. Let's talk for a second.
See, now, Dr. James, that could really go both ways. Why would you even entertain that?
Well, if I care, I need you to understand this is not a quick fix. Don't play with yourself. Because you're not playing with me. You're playing with yourself. Because when you do that, you think that I'm going to get up and magically be different. There's a question that therapists use. It's called a magic question. If you went to bed and got up, or you went to sleep and you woke up and things could be different, what would it look like? It's called a magic question. And so we ask people that. I'm a therapist. When you come in there and you give me all that, so what you're saying to me is, when you finish, mama, baby boy, gonna be magically different. I eat you up and tell you I ain't no different. It ain't no
Might
different.
be worse.
It's worse.
Yep.
Because now I know how you are.
The magic box don't work.
Now. Now, you might need to go down the hall. 201 might want that. 204 declines.
We might need a part two so I can get some more understanding of that.
Well, again, I asked you what's the intent. You think this is going to fix it?
Right, okay, so Going back to
What's the argument
original
though?
thing,
Shanti's giving the argument.
irreconcilable
Then
difference.
the argument is, I gave you myself. I gave you myself, and this is how you act. Or what was the other night for? What was the other night for? You wasn't saying that the other night. Yes, I was. You wasn't listening.
Absolutely. And that's the truth.
Isn't that the argument?
That's the truth right there.
Oh, is that the argument?
Come on, y'all. I know y'all heard the argument. I know you heard the argument. You may have had the argument yourself. You may have said it yourself. Y'all playing with my mind tonight.
Not me. I don't see it.
Now, some of y'all just being quiet up here. I don't know what y'all saying out there, but they quiet up here. And I'm just trying to get to the real nitty gritty. You can't tell me that has not taken place.
Yes, it has.
Oh yeah, I mean, it
On
has
both
taken
the
place. It's on both
man
sides.
and the woman.
I've said it myself.
And it's still based off of what you talked about. I have to go back what you said earlier, the irreconcilable differences and the false expectations.
Or false beliefs and false expectations. Now think back. There was a time and a place when you knew who you were, you knew what you wanted, you believed in yourself, and your life was full of hope and optimism. And so you were in touch with your core of consciousness. You were centered on the God-given core that uniquely defined you. And you can be centered on this core again. My conversation with, before we hit this bed, can you center yourself? Before we eat this wonderful dinner, before you cook that dinner today, babe, can we have a conversation? Because I need you to center yourself, because you're going to cook, slave in the kitchen, cook, and you're going to be mad at me after I ate that food and I don't act the way you want me to act, after you slaved in that kitchen. Or after you took me to a fine restaurant and paid $350 for two of us to eat. Yes.
Yep.
You're going to be upset.
Absolutely.
You know how many people take vacations they be able to spend going to Dubai, $6,000, $8,000, $10,000, took her to Dubai, took her to Mexico, took her here, took her there, and the expectation is when you get back, you're going to act right. When they could have given me the $3,500 for the weekend retreat so that I could teach you what I'm saying to you now.
I can't fully agree.
Why?
Thinking about myself and how I operate.
You have not a man has never done that to you, or you have never done that to a man, that they feel like things ought to change because of what I did.
Oh, that has happened in the past.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
What I'm saying is you could have gave me the $3,500 for the weekend retreat.
And just stayed at home.
Yeah, no, you wouldn't have stayed at home. You'd have stayed where the retreat was, in the mansion that we chose, or the hotel that we chose for the retreat, so that I can give you these principles so you can find your core consciousness again, get your voice back, and feel like you matter. Instead of you feeling like you don't matter.
And that's true.
Why are you going to Dubai? Why would you go to Europe? Why are you going to fly to Paris? So flying to Paris and Dubai first class and spending $8,000, $10,000. I have patients spend $8,000, $10,000, $5,000, and they come back and they tell me we had this wonderful vacation and she don't appreciate it. Matter of fact, someone called me from the airport. They say, Dr. James, you have a moment? I'm at the airport. I am so mad. Or they be at the restaurant and they tell me what kind of restaurant they're in and how much they're spending, because those are the kind of clients that I have or patients that I have. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter. You've lost the battle, not the war, but you did lose that battle because you decided your efforts from that perspective was supposed to change that person or the relationship, and it cannot.
So doesn't that have something to do with value system then? What do you value?
Your core consciousness is the issue, which includes your value system or values. Your strength. See, what happens is you feel weak. You don't have any strength. Don't you understand that when you have a problem in your relationship, you don't have any strength? Y'all never been in a relationship, you just didn't have the strength even to talk. Mm-hmm. They want to talk, you be like, I just can't. Mm-hmm. I don't even have the strength. They be like, some people come on and be like, Dr. James, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I can't. I already know what's going on. your core consciousness. If you came into a therapist's office and we were talking, and then that person said something that triggered you, that got under your skin, you was like, okay, that's it. Dr. James, I'm sorry. I tried. I'm not being, arrogant. I'm not disrespecting you, sir. I get that. But when I finish talking to them on the other side, they come back in and sit down. Because what they've lost is the core consciousness. I need them to understand why they feel the way they feel.
Isn't that their pain talking though?
It is their pain talking, but what brought it? That's the thing. You're in pain, period. You're in pain. Now I've said some things, so what do you guys really think about what I've said so far? I gotta begin to shut this down. I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna talk a little more about the subject. If you've been listening to us so far and watching us so far, and you know that this is exactly where you are, these kind of things is going on, I need you to make comments. I need you to send us a note. I need you to send us a note. If you need help, then call my office at 240-383-4800 and ask for an appointment. But whether we're going to use a coaching method or a therapeutic method, relationship coaching or relationship therapy, or we're going to do mediation, one of those things we're going to do. And when it comes to an individual, we're still going to use the same vehicles to get you where you want to get to, but we got to get you back to the point where you're actually able to deal with yourself. Any closing remarks? I know we got to go. Any closing thoughts?
Yes, sir.
Any closing thoughts? We absolutely agree that it's the core consciousness that we've got to get back. Because if you get that back, you get your voice, you get your strength, you get your energy, you get your values, you get all those things back, and you won't have the pain that you're having right now. You won't have that pain if you get the core consciousness back. Again, my number is 240, office number 240-383-4800. You can call for an appointment. But this is key and this is important. You don't need an expensive trip, but I would invite you to come to one of our retreats, whether it's an individual or whether it's a couple. Coming to the retreats. And when you do that, we're able to help you reconnect with yourself, which allows you to reconnect with the love of your life, or to move forward with new love. I'm Dr. James, and we've been talking about living life with Dr. James. We'll see you next week.